Jin-Woo smiled as their hands intertwined. Her hand was cool but soft in his. The night sky twinkled with countless stars above them, creating a magical moment. The next day, a tabloid focused on hunter gossip ran a catchy headline: Jin-Woo Sung and Hasin Cha spotted at theme park. Are they the ultimate power couple? Alongside were phone pictures of them at an amusement park and riding off on a magical creature. Normally the association kept their personal lives private, adding intrigue to the story. But this story was so big that the tabloid decided to publish it anyway, no matter what might happen. And wow, did it ever blow up? People were tired of hearing about the huge gate all the time. But when they found out about these two famous hunters, things got wild. Everyone wanted to read more about Jin-Woo Sung, known as the best male hunter in the world, and Haekin Cha, the best female hunter in Korea. The news spread like wildfire online. Can you imagine if Jin-Woo Sung and Haekin Cha had a kid? That kid would probably be strong enough to beat all the magic beasts out there. People joked. Others laughed, and said things like, Jin-Woo Jr. sounds unstoppable. LOL. But here's the thing, neither of them has even confirmed they're dating yet. Still, people couldn't stop talking about it. You're jumping the gun. If we follow your idea, Jin-Woo Sung's parents would be super powerful. OP is just messing with us and doesn't even know how someone becomes a hunter. But let's be real, who isn't rooting for them to actually be dating? Their fights could literally level the place if they ever had a showdown. Lola lives in a suburb of Seoul, and she thought the world was ending when she saw that creepy gate hanging over Gangnam. But hearing about hunters going on dates and having fun makes her feel better, like maybe there's still hope after all. She wishes the news would stop talking about that gate already. Hunter Sung and Hunter Chad, can you please do something about that huge weird gate or whatever it's called? Meanwhile, President Yoon-ho Baek of the White Tiger Guild sighed and tossed a tabloid aside. Tonscots, cats, he muttered to himself. It all made sense now why Hyun looked at Jin-Woo differently compared to everyone else. The news itself wasn't the problem. This headline is ridiculous, he said. What's with this look power couple thing? Manager Sang-min noticed the president was clearly annoyed. What's wrong with it, sir? I'd say those two definitely fit that title. Manager An replied. It doesn't matter which woman Hunter Sung has by his side. The president continued. They would still totally be the strongest couple ever. This headline is so pointless. After thinking about Jin-Woo dating others, Sang-min had to admit that was true. Even if Jin-Woo went out with that one high school girl, who's also a hunter, they'd still be unbeatable. Mostly because Jin-Woo is just super strong. You're right, President Baek, Sang-min said, smiling and taking a quick sip of his bitter instant coffee. Sang-min gazed out the window and sighed. Man, the air pollution is getting worse every day. I'm even scared to open the window anymore. He scowled and moved to close the half-opened window. But President Baek suddenly raised his hand. Wait, he said. Sang-min paused, confused. President Baek pushed the window all the way open and stuck out his hand. This isn't just fine dust. The haze covering Seoul wasn't the usual smog. It was a creepy freezing mist that made your skin crawl. It didn't make sense. It was fall, so it shouldn't be this cold. President Baek shivered and leaned out the window, his eyes narrowing as he activated his eyes of a beast. What the? This feels off, Jin-Woo muttered to himself as he woke up first. Jin was still fast asleep, clearly worn out from the day before. It had been a long time since Jin-Woo had woken up next to someone like this. He carefully got to his feet and slipped into the woods. He'd definitely been here before. A memory tugged at him. This must be where he stumbled upon that stream last time. He found it again, knelt down, and splashed some water on his face, the coolness waking him up fully. As Jin-Woo headed back to Heian, something caught his eye, and he stopped abruptly. Wait a minute. What's this? He wondered. There before him was a small tree with fresh new growth. While it wasn't particularly special at first glance, its leaves shimmered like silver instead of the usual green. This wasn't normal for any plant. Jin-Woo knew it had a faint trace of magic so subtle that only someone as sharp as Jin-Woo could notice. This little tree didn't belong here, he realized. Its strange energy told him this wasn't any ordinary creature. Jin-Woo leaned in closer and noticed something cool. More silvery leaves popping out of the ground around him. They looked super different from the other trees, whose leaves were slowly turning brown. The dirt. It's actually changing. Jin-Woo wondered, is this part of what the rulers planned, or is it just a leftover effect from those magic beasts. Jin-Woo scooped up a handful of dirt, sniffed it like he was smelling food, and then rubbed his fingers together as the soil trickled back to the ground. He could pick up the faint scent of magic in it too. The earth was full of magic, even if humans didn't notice it. As Jin-Woo stood there, he could tell from afar that Hyan had finally woken up. He brushed the dirt off his hands, but he couldn't let himself get caught up in worrying about what had just happened. Right now, the most important thing was making sure Hyan knew he was still there, and that he hadn't disappeared into thin air during the night. He walked toward her without trying to sneak or hide, and as soon as she saw him, a tiny sigh of relief escaped her lips. He flashed her a warm smile, letting her know everything was going to be okay. "Did you sleep well?" Jin-Woo asked with a curious smile. Tan's cheeks turned bright red as she looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes." Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow, clearly puzzled by her sudden shyness. She glanced back at him hesitantly and asked, "Where did you go?" Jin-Woo removed the towel from his shoulders and began drying his damp hair. "I went to wash up," he replied casually. He noticed that she might also want to clean up since the ocean breeze left a salty trace on their skin, but he thought about how awkward it would be for her to wash up in this place. Then an idea struck him. How perfect. "I know a great hotel nearby with amazing breakfast." Jin-Woo exclaimed. "How about we go there? It'll be fun." Pang's eyes lit up at the mention of food, and she nodded eagerly, her earlier shyness forgotten. Jin-Woo stretched out his hand to help Han up before calling out Kasal. The creature let out a loud screech as it spread its wide wings. Han tilted her head in confusion. "You said it was close by, right?" she asked. Jin-Woo grinned. "If I run at full speed, it'll take me about 5 minutes. Want to race there together?" Han hopped onto Kezel without saying another word. Guess she figured things out fast. Jin-Woo slid into place in front of her, and with a graceful flick of his wings, Kezel soared into the sky. Back in Korea, people were used to seeing Kezel on TV, but what would happen when Japanese hotel staff spotted a real-life dragon? Jin-Woo hoped the chef wouldn't get too upset as Kezel headed toward the hotel. Out of nowhere, a tall figure appeared near the Hunters Association building, where a man had just been tested and found to be a B rank awakened. The man felt a bump on his shoulder, looked up, and was shocked by how huge Kezel was. It was like running into a giant. He wore some kind of leather gear, and looked like a beast. No, he didn't just look like one. He seemed like an actual animal. His towering size made him stand out in a big way, and soon people were staring. "Are they gonna fight?" someone whispered. "Whoa, that guy is massive," another person said. Even Dong Wook Ma would struggle against him. Is that older guy crazy or something? Is he trying to get sent to the ER? The man felt like the whole busy street had gone quiet, even though lots of people were staring at him. Usually he'd just say sorry and walk away. But something about him had changed. The guy who used to suck up to his bosses and get treated like dirt by his coworkers was gone. "I'm a B-rank awakened being now." B-rank hunters were the real deal, super strong and respected by everyone. He wasn't about to let this regular guy push him around, just because of his size. He set his briefcase down firmly, and stood up straight. "Hey, you should say sorry when you bump into someone," he said sharply. His heart started racing, and he could feel a strange energy building up inside him, a surge of magical power that made him feel stronger than ever before. He felt a surge of life in his cells, like they were buzzing with energy. It was time to start his new life as a hunter. The towering figure with animal-like features stood still, calm after seeing the other man's bravery. Emboldened by the man's calm demeanor, he continued, "Do you really think this is over just because you're standing there? When you mess up, it's best to own it, and apologize." "Go!" "No!" A towering brute grabbed a middle-aged man by the head, hoisting him off the ground. The crowd gasped in shock. "Go!" Veins bulged from his temples, and he struggled to breathe. A tiger? No, wait, a bear. What kind of predator, maybe a lion, shark, or even a poisonous snake, could scare someone this badly? The fear was so strong that it made the person's heart race and their legs shake. They were so terrified that they wet their pants. Then, something loud happened with a crack. Blood splattered everywhere, and the sound of breaking filled the air. Someone screamed at the top of their lungs. "Ash! Ash!" But the wild man didn't stop there. He kept going, fueled by some primal energy. He started chowing down on the body lying on the ground. He's eating him. Someone stuttered. Wow! One other person shouted. What's he doing? Someone else cried out in shock. The man's crazed feeding frenzy didn't last long. He stood up, wiping bits of flesh from his mouth with the back of his hand. His eyes were wild. There was no sign of sanity left in them. They were the eyes of a beast. Some people ran away screaming, but plenty of others stayed to watch, their curiosity getting the better of them, as they stared at this horrifying sight. The beast let out a loud roar, speaking in a strange language no one could understand. Listen up, humans, it growled. From now on, I'm coming for you. The crowd watched in horror, their eyes wide with fear. Some people even cried as the beast's thunderous voice echoed through the air. The beast snarled, showing off his super sharp fangs and claws. He looked like a fierce ruler, powerful and mean. I'll use these teeth and claws to tear you apart. He warned. This was no ordinary creature. It was the king of beasts, and it was ready to strike fear into the hearts of everyone. The Fang monarch snarled loudly, his angry roar shaking the whole street. Stop me if you can. He dared. President Wu had just heard about the terrifying creature that suddenly appeared in downtown Seoul. How many people has it hurt? He asked urgently. It's too chaotic to know for sure right now. Came the reply. The creature was first spotted in Myeongdong, and was moving straight, attacking everyone in its path. If it keeps going this way, it's headed straight for someone started to say. The Hunters Association. President Wu finished grimly. He bit his lip and squeezed his fists tight with worry. Wow. This gate is already causing enough trouble. Where did this monster even come from? But now wasn't the time to panic. They had to stay focused on stopping the creature. What's Hunter Sung's status? We can't reach him. President Wu let out a frustrated curse. Just moments before he'd gotten word that the monster had wiped out one of the guilds sent to confront it, like it was nothing. The one good thing was that it was moving slowly, like it was waiting for something to happen. But it was clear that if they didn't stop it soon, the number of victims would skyrocket. Not being able to reach their biggest weapon made everything worse. If it comes down to it, I'll step in myself, he thought, clenching his fists in determination. Just then, some good news walked in. Mr. President, Jin-Chul nearly jumped out of his chair as an employee burst into the room without even knocking. Were you able to contact Hunter Sung?
No sir, not yet, the employee replied.
Wait, big news. A super famous hunter nearby is stepping up to take on the beast. Who's that? Someone asked. But the reply got cut off, leaving everyone in suspense. Lennart, Germany's strongest hunter, felt the ground shake as the monster approached, leaving a bloody trail. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if he was up for the challenge, but knew he had to act. As a hunter he couldn't ignore the pleas of those in danger. Plus, being ranked 12th globally by the Hunter Command Center meant he was ready for this fight. As Lennart stepped into the scene, people's faces lit up with relief when they spotted him. It was like seeing a hero, someone they knew would keep them safe. He couldn't just stand by, he had to act. It wasn't a choice but his duty as a hunter. Maybe it was destiny that brought Lennart to Seoul to face this monster. His expression turned fierce, and he undid a few buttons on his shirt, ready to confront the beast. Just as he took a step forward, a deep voice echoed from behind. Get out of my way. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo's phone buzzed non-stop as soon as he had signal. He frowned at the caller ID. Why was the Hunters Association calling him so urgently? Jin-Woo grabbed his phone as soon as it buzzed. Hello? He answered, wondering who could be calling him so late. Hunter Sung, a nervous voice asked on the other end. Speaking, Jin-Woo replied, trying to place the caller's voice. There was a pause before the person continued hesitantly. This is about your brother. Something happened. Jin-Woo's grip tightened on the phone. What are you talking about? What happened? I'm really sorry, but I think he might be in trouble, the voice said, trembling slightly. Who is this? Jin-Woo demanded, his heart racing with worry. I work at the school your brother attends. There was an incident earlier today. Jin-Woo felt a wave of fear wash over him. What kind of incident? Is he okay? The caller hesitated again, before blurting out. He's been suspended, but that's not all. It's more serious than that. The principal needs to speak with you immediately. Jin-Woo was stunned. His brother getting into trouble. That didn't sound right. He had always been a good kid. Wait, the principal wants to talk to me. Jin-Woo asked, trying to process what he was hearing. Yes. The caller replied. I really think you should come down here as soon as possible. Before Jin-Woo could respond, the line went dead. He stared at his phone in confusion and growing concern, wondering what his brother had gotten himself into. Jin-Woo knew things were serious as he waited for Jinchul to answer. Finally Jinchul picked up. Hunter Sung, why is it so hard to reach you? He asked quickly. I just got reception a minute ago. Jin-Woo explained. The forest was a mess because of all the dungeons breaking through, so getting a signal was almost impossible in that area. Jin-Woo had thought he was all set since he'd placed shadow soldiers near everyone he wanted to protect. But then he wondered, did that huge gate really open? He didn't think it was supposed to happen for at least 2 more days. Jin-Woo's mind raced through possibilities, but before he could ask anything, Jinchul quickly delivered the bad news. A monster has shown up and is wreaking havoc in the middle of Seoul. Jin-Woo had been feeling refreshed after his short break, but now his heart sank. How large is the group of magic beasts? It's not a group. There's only one. What's? Just one. Hunters from all over Korea were in Seoul waiting nervously for the dungeon break from the giant gate. The association even handed out weapons to those who didn't have good gear, but still they couldn't handle one magic beast that showed up out of nowhere. Jin-Woo listened in confusion as Jinchul kept explaining. A guild went after it and got wiped out instantly. This isn't your average magical creature, someone said. Where exactly is it? Another person asked. It's right near the fancy Grand Hotel in Seoul. Ona could this be just a coincidence? His heart sank when he heard the name of the luxury hotel where Thomas Andre was staying. Then Jinchul nervously told him. I just got a call Hunter Andre's face to face with it. That couldn't be right. Things just went from bad to worse. Jin-Woo had left one of his shadow soldiers with Thomas, just in case something went wrong. He'd given clear orders. If anything strange happened, the soldier was supposed to contact him right away. But now, even though Thomas was taking on a monster that could wipe out an entire guild by himself, there was complete silence from the soldier. Wait a minute. Something felt really off. The signals from Jin-Woo's soldiers in Seoul were super weak, like something was messing with them. What was happening? There was a super strong enemy, a powerful hunter fighting it, and now the signals were all jammed up. Could it be? Jin-Woo grabbed Jinchul's arm as an idea popped into his head. President Woo, does that monster have a shadow? Huh? I need to know if that monster has a shadow. Jinchul paused for a moment before quickly answering. Oh my goodness. You're right, Hunter Sung. I just checked a photo, and the monster doesn't have a shadow. Shit. Jin-Woo shouted. Stop Thomas from fighting that monster. The self-attacking President Go had no shadow, and something felt off. Time was running out, so Jin-Woo didn't wait. He quickly activated Shadow Exchange to help the soldier protecting Thomas. Ding. A message popped up with a sharp beep. Shadow Soldier not found. Jin-Woo tried again, but the same alert flashed. Shadow Soldier not found. He kept trying, each beep making his worry grow. What was going on? Jin-Woo froze in shock. His Shadow Soldier gone. The one he had put there on purpose to use Shadow Exchange had just vanished. Poof, gone. He couldn't sense the soldier anywhere, which was super weird. The connection between him and Thomas was definitely broken, leaving Jin-Woo totally confused about what had just happened. It was a feeling Jin-Woo knew all too well, like when he sent a shadow soldier back to the void. A shadow soldier had just been kicked out of the fight. Confused, Jin-Woo blurted out. What's happening? A deep voice boomed from behind Leonard. Move aside. Leonard felt a wave of déjà vu wash over him. But this time his reaction was totally different than before. His face lit up as he shouted. Thomas Andre. The man standing there was huge, so big he could block out the sun. As Thomas walked past Leonard, even the people who had been screaming and running away slowed down. They all recognized him. He was one of the greatest hunters in the country. He's that American hunter, someone whispered. Thomas. Another person stammered. Goliath? It's Goliath, someone else shouted. Leonard, who was also a top-tier hunter, couldn't help but feel his heart race with excitement as he watched Thomas step forward. The civilians who had been running away in terror from the monster's terrifying aura were now cheering. Yes, someone shouted. Thank goodness for Thomas. Another person cried. Some people were so relieved. They collapsed to the ground, their legs giving out. Thomas barked orders at the other hunters, who had been frozen in fear by the beast's overwhelming power. "Hey, what are you waiting for? Get everyone out of here now," a national-level hunter shouted sharply, his voice jolting them into moving fast. The ones who spoke English quickly sprang into action, hurrying the remaining civilians to safety. Leonard jumped in to help, guiding people away from danger. Meanwhile, Thomas stood firmly in the middle of the street, acting like a shield as the beast slowly strolled towards them. He took off his sunglasses, narrowing his eyes to focus on the creature. The beast was a mess, covered in blood. He looked almost human, but something about him was super creepy, and definitely not normal. Thomas totally lost it. When he saw the body parts scattered around, clear proof of the beast's victims. "This thing went way too far," Thomas muttered, his anger boiling over. As if laughing at Thomas's fury, the beast showed off his bloody fangs. They were covered in red stains and bits of flesh, which was seriously gross. Thomas glared at him coldly, thinking, a rabid animal needs to be stopped, right? Enforcement. His muscles hardened like steel, and his massive body grew even bigger, now towering over the beast. Goliath let out a mighty roar and charged forward, ready to face the creature head-on. To those watching from a distance, he looked like an unstoppable tank. Every step shook the ground beneath their feet. The beast licked its lips at the sight of this new challenger, then lunged into action as well. Two towering men stood nose to nose in an instant. They checked each other out like rival beasts before throwing their magically powered fists with a loud "ah-cbam bam bam." A single punch from this monster would mean instant death, but neither the beast nor Thomas held back. They kept swinging at each other without even trying to block. "I can do this." Thomas was totally sure of himself now. Bam. His next punch sent the beast's head flying sideways. It felt amazing to land that left hook. Sure, losing to Jin-Woo had shaken his confidence a bit, but now he was completely in the zone. Thomas unleashed a flurry of punches, pushing the beast back step by step. Then with all his strength he swung his fist and sent the monster flying. Crack. The beast skidded across the asphalt, splitting the road in two, before smashing into a building. The hunters watched the fight with big smiles, but Thomas wasn't happy at all. No way. The attack didn't go as planned. He could still feel the beast's anger coming from under the pile of broken building pieces. Swoosh. Chunks of metal flew through the air like missiles, cutting through the thick dust clouds swirling around them. Thomas kicked aside the zooming cars, then used his skill, gravitation, to lure out the hidden creature. Daboom! As soon as the struggling beast was right in front of him, Thomas unleashed his most powerful move. "Demolish!" he shouted. His arms flexed, and his muscles bulged like they were about to explode. Thomas slammed both fists into the ground. Kaboom! As a huge shockwave blasted the beast, sending it flying into the air with a loud thud. Thomas didn't stop for a second. He jumped right on top of the beast and started throwing punch after punch with all his strength. Pop! Up! The crowd watched in awe as they cheered wildly for Thomas. The other hunters were all smiling. From where everyone stood, the fight was clearly over. Thomas had won. Just like everyone expected, he was the strongest hunter in the country, after all. But even though he had his opponent right where he wanted them, Thomas was sweating bullets. What was going on? The closer he got to winning, the more it felt like something was squeezing his throat tight.